To all the skeptics in the comments, I promise this is my actual biological voice you're hearing, not an AI, it's 100% organic. I haven't had a firmware update in years. Let's talk about dumpster fire that is Amazon Games' attempt to dominate the industry. Imagine a $1 trillion company trying to play video games like a middle-aged dad trying to use skibidi in a sentence to sound cool to his kids. It's awkward, it's painful, and it's expensive. This is a masterpiece of corporate incompetence. Remarkable how so many MMO, way worse than New World, are still up and running. Translation: my favorite game is a flaming wreck and I'm mad that MapleStory still has a heartbeat. Look, I get it. New World had that new car smell if the car was built by people who forgot how to make wheels. It had this master class of movement and unique trigger feeling. People were obsessed with the combat. It felt crunchy. It felt impactful. It felt like something that actually belonged in a good game. But then Amazon did what Amazon does best. They optimized the fun out of it. They treated a living, breathing MMO community like a warehouse inventory system. New World wasn't a game to them, it was a data point. When people say they don't care about losing out on a bit of money, they're right, but not for the reasons you think. Amazon burns billions on failed rockets, and Lord of the Rings shows that nobody watches. Losing a few million on a game where people chop trees for 16 hours a day is just a tax write-off. The tragedy here is that the trigger feeling got dumped. Imagine inventing the most satisfying sword swing in history and then handing the controls to an AI chatbot that thinks a great axe is a brand of deodorant. The game didn't die because it was bad, it died because it was owned by a company that has the emotional intelligence of a Roomba. They wanted to be an industry titan, but they forgot that titans actually have to stand on something other than a pile of cash and broken promises. The reality of New World is that it's the gaming equivalent of a luxury condo built on a sinkhole. It looks great in the brochure, the marble countertops, the combat are exquisite, but the plumbing leads directly into a sewer of bugs and the foundation is made of damp cardboard. The gamers are baffled that worse games survive. Honey, MapleStory and old school RuneScape survive because they have a soul. They weren't created in a sterile lab by a committee of people who think fun is a metric you can track on a spreadsheet between logistics costs and warehouse turnover rates. Amazon's approach to New World was essentially, we have the most servers, therefore we have the most game. That's like saying, because you own the most dirt, you're the best farmer. They gave us a world that was beautiful but hollow, a new world that felt remarkably like an old, tired job. When the players realized they were just unpaid QA testers for a $1 trillion company that couldn't even keep the gold economy from inflating faster than a balloon in a vacuum, the magic evaporated. Now we're just left staring at the corpse, wondering why Jeff Bezos hasn't scheduled the burial. It's because, in the Amazon ecosystem, nothing truly dies, it just gets moved to the clearance section of our collective memory. Outsourced customer support that doesn't even know what the games look like. If you've ever tried to get help in New World, you know the vibe. You're talking to a guy in a different time zone who thinks New World is the name of a grocery store chain. You tell them your character is clipped into a rock, and they reply with a copy-pasted script about how to reset your Amazon Prime password. It's like calling the fire department because your house is burning down and having them offer you a discount on a garden hose. The critique mentions incompetent skinwalker, bunch of idiots. A bit harsh, maybe. Accurate? Absolutely. This is what happens when you hire community managers who are basically just glorified hall monitors with a mute button. The Discord server became an echo chamber where feedback went to die. You could write a 50-page thesis on how to fix the economy and the reply would be, thanks for the feedback. We've shared this with the team into the shredder. They killed the forums because forums are where people can actually organize and point out that the emperor has no clothes. Without forums, there's no record of their failures, just a flickering stream of AI slop mobile games and copy-paste replies. It's a masterclass in how to alienate a player base. They didn't want a community, they wanted a herd of cattle that wouldn't moo too loudly while being milked. Let's talk about the skinwalkers for a second. These are executives who wear the skin of a gamer but talk like a LinkedIn influencer. They use words like engagement, retention, and monetization loop, but they wouldn't know a mana potion if it hit them in their Botox-smoothed forehead. They look at a community and see a user base to be managed, not a group of people to be entertained. When the community gets angry because the game is literally unplayable after a patch, the skinwalkers don't apologize, they pivot. They release a developer diary where they sit on beanbags and talk about vision while the actual game servers are screaming in agony. The decision to kill the official forums was the ultimate coward move. It's the corporate equivalent of putting your fingers in your ears and screaming la 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 while the house burns down. They wanted to migrate everyone to Discord because Discord is ephemeral. On a forum, a bug report stays there, visible, mocking you with its 500 Me Too replies. On Discord, a complaint disappears into the scroll in 5 minutes, buried under a mountain of LFG requests, and is the server down. Pings. It's a deliberate strategy to sanitize the brand by silencing the customers. They treated the players like a nuisance, a cost center that needed to be minimized rather than the lifeblood of the product. It's not just incompetence, it's a form of corporate sociopathy, where the only thing that matters is the sentiment score in the Tuesday morning meeting. This is what happens when you have executives that saw a PowerPoint about gaming being predicted to be worth X billion dollars. This is the core of the rot. Somewhere in a glass office, a guy in a 4000 suit looked at a slide titled Gaming the Final Frontier and thought, we have servers. Games need servers. Therefore we are Nintendo. These people don't play games. To them, Elden Ring sounds like a medical condition, and Master Chief is probably a high-end sus-vied machine. They listened to yes men who told them that because they own Twitch, they own the gamers. It's the ultimate corporate delusion, the belief that visibility equals loyalty. They thought that if they put an ad for New World on every Amazon box, we'd all just forget that the game didn't have an endgame for 6 months. They treat game development like a logistics problem. If we throw 500 developers and $100 million at a project, a fund should pop out the other end in 3-5 business days. But fun isn't a commodity you can buy in bulk from a supplier in Shenzhen. It's an art form. And Amazon is the guy who buys a Stradivarius violin just to use it as a cricket bat because it's made of high-quality wood. Imagine the meeting where New World was greenlit. There was probably a chart showing the growth of the global gaming market next to a picture of a guy wearing a VR headset looking happy. The executives didn't ask, is this game fun? Or what makes an MMO community thrive? No, they asked, how can we leverage our AWS infrastructure to create a scalable platform for recurring microtransactions? They built a store first and a game second. When you build a game from a PowerPoint, you get a product that checks all the boxes but satisfies nobody. It's like a healthy version of a burger made of kale and sadness. It has the right shape. It's marketed as a burger, but the moment you bite into it, you realize you've been lied to. The executives at Amazon Games are the guys who think they can disrupt the industry by applying day one philosophy to a medium that requires day 3000 levels of patience and passion. They thought they could Blizzard better than Blizzard without the 30 years of history or the creative spark. They brought a calculator to a poetry slam. They expected a round of applause for their math, but all they got was a room full of people wondering why the poems were written in binary and smelled like burnt silicon. Now we get to the former VP's quotes, which are a goldmine of how are you this rich and this stupid. They spent 15 years trying to challenge Steam. 15 years. That's longer than most marriages. And their master plan. Gamers will buy from us because they use Twitch. That is like saying people will buy their steaks from the local library because they read books there. Steam isn't just a store, it's a digital security blanket. It's where my trophies live. It's where my friends are. It's the trophy case the VP mentioned. Amazon thought they could just barge in with their size and visibility and everyone would drop their 20-year-old libraries because what? Because shipping is faster on socks. We never validated our core assumptions before investing heavily. That is corporate speak for we lit $1 billion on fire because we were too arrogant to ask a single 14-year-old if they liked our idea. They assumed gamers were just consumers looking for a solution to a problem. Gamers don't have a problem with Steam. Steam is the solution. Amazon was the annoying telemarketer trying to sell us a new Steam that required a Prime subscription and probably came with a built-in buy more diapers button. The sheer hubris of thinking Twitch integration was the silver bullet to take down Gabe Newell is staggering. Twitch is a place where I watch people be better at games than I am while I eat Cheetos in my underwear. It is not a shopping destination. Amazon's logic was they watch the game on our site, so they will want to buy the game on our site, play the game on our site, and live in our digital pods. But gamers are stubborn. We like our libraries tidy. We like our year-in-review emails from Steam. We like the fact that Steam feels like it was built by people who actually like games rather than a conglomerate that wants to sell us a 48-pack of toilet paper. Amazon's Project Tempo, their failed Steam competitor, was basically an attempt to gentrify the internet. They wanted to build a shiny, corporate mall over the weird, cluttered, but beloved local park that is Steam. And when nobody showed up to the mall, they didn't ask why, they just wondered if the lighting was wrong. They spent 15 years trying to crack the code when the code was written in plain English: make something we actually want to use, not something you want us to use. The final quote is the ultimate admission of defeat. We underestimated the power of existing user habits. No kidding, Sherlock. Gamers are the most tribal, habitual creatures on the planet. We still play games from 1998 because the jumping feels right. You can't just buy that kind of soul. Amazon's failure is a beautiful reminder that even in a world owned by 5 mega corporations, you can't actually buy a culture. You can't manufacture a hit through sheer force of marketing and server capacity. They thought they could replace the social network of Steam with the visibility of an Amazon sidebar ad. They didn't realize that visibility is what you want for a brand of dish soap, not for a virtual world where people spend 4,000 hours of their lives. In the end, New World stands as a monument to corporate hubris. It's a game that had a masterclass of movement, but was steered by people who couldn't find the W key on a keyboard. They wanted to be industry titans, but they ended up as the guys who brought a spreadsheets to a sword fight. The habit gap isn't just about where people click buy. It's about trust. We trust Valve mostly because they've been there since we were kids. We don't trust Amazon because Amazon is the company that makes us feel guilty about our delivery drivers' bathroom breaks. You can't ask a player to invest their soul into an MMO when the company behind it treats the game like a minimum viable product. Amazon games try to colonize our free time without understanding why we value it. They thought our habits were just inefficiencies that could be disrupted. But our habits are our culture. Our habit of wanting a game that isn't broken, a community that isn't ignored, and a developer that isn't a skinwalker executive is what saved us from their mediocre new world. So here's to Amazon games. May your next PowerPoint be slightly less delusional, and may your skinwalker executives finally learn that fun isn't an Amazon Basics product. You can't prime deliver a masterpiece.